Welcome to Audience First, a podcast for tech marketers looking to break out of the echo chamber, to better understand their buyers, what motivates them, and what they hate that vendors do. It's time to unmute your mic. Are you ready? All right, we are back with another episode of Audience First, and I am here with the man who needs no introduction, Dr. Chase Cunningham. We are here actually in back-to-back episodes talking about all the good things in the space of security and actually B2B tech, right? In our last conversation, I actually wanted to ask you a question, and I'm going to ask it now and kick it off because I find it really interesting that you've built a product that is relatively niche, but you can niche out, if that makes sense. I don't know what the right terminology is. Niche up?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Or de-niche?
Nicheify? I don't know.
Yeah. So how do you successfully do that? Because I'm in a space, I'm in a spot where I've really niched down with regards to Audience First. We focus on cybersecurity, go-to-market, even deeper, product marketing. So it's a very small segment. And I'm at a spot right now where I'm like, okay, I could also teach folks who aren't in security. This is kind of universal. So what's kind of your recommendation to going to other verticals?
Oh, I think we don't give ourselves enough credit that if you're able to do anything along these lines in a space that is as kind of, let's call it stodgy and beholden to old norms as security, you can do it for a whole lot of spaces that are doing things quicker, better, faster, more innovative. So, you've got to keep a line on your sort of piece of truth.
Yeah.
But I think it scales way bigger than just where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's always looking for a different thought or a different voice or, some other insight. So I think we can provide that. It's just a matter of which way we go down that rabbit hole.
I appreciate that. And then earlier this year, I had a conversation at an event, a demand generation event. I talked about skeptical IT buyers and realized that not only security folks are skeptical, there are a lot of IT buyers who are super skeptical, going through really difficult, sales motions with vendors. And so maybe we focus on that kind of intrinsic challenge that folks have. But anyway, I wanted to ask that because it is a challenge that I have because I'm so comfortable in the security space. Ironically, you talked to me 5 years ago, I was definitely afraid of working
all the tinfoil hat weirdos.
Seriously. But now it's more challenge, yum. No, we met, what was it? We officially met, I think, at RSA a couple years ago in person.
So. Yep.
But when I was familiar with you, it was when I was working at Guardicore and you were over helping out Illumio.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, you were an analyst.
Correct.
And now you're not an analyst, or you're still an analyst?
I'm still an analyst. So I'm G2 as the VP of Security Market Research, and building a program there that's similar to what a legacy analyst thing is, as far as the machinations.
Right.
But the stuff we're doing is not legacy, which is really cool.
How did you get into that role? You're a practitioner. You're a doctor, essentially. Okay.
My daughter says not the useful kind of doctor, but yeah.
No, come on. We got to give you credit. You went through the motions there. So how did you get into that role? What was kind of the motivation there?
Really, I got kind of recruited to go there by the leadership at G2 because they were trying to do things that were kind of different than their past, do research, publish the metrics, and then go forward and whatever. They wanted to actually get, deeper into the inside side of it.
Yeah.
So just because I'd had the practice at Forrester and other areas, I was able to go over there and start putting things in place.
Mm-hmm.
And they've hired a bunch of new leadership too that's all engaged in this.
Nice.
New CMO, new other VPs that are running different sorts of approaches to the market problems. So, they're putting the bricks where they need to go to build the foundation.
How do you guys want to do things differently?
Ooh, I don't know about you, but I think that the analyst sort of interaction market, the analyst relation side is fundamentally just jacked.
Have you seen my first episode of season 3?
Yeah,
Like we
I'm
dedicated
leading
a
the
full
witness.
60 minutes to this.
Yeah,
I want to hear your take.
I mean, I was an analyst,
Yeah.
right? And the folks at those companies, like, I love them. They're amazing people. I'd run into a burning building for any one of them.
Yeah.
Probably not gardeners, but the forest people. But I mean, the reality of it is, you've got this render unto Caesar sort of thing going on,
Yeah.
and it's all to get your stuff top right in an evaluative report.
Mhm.
And I can tell you, because I wrote them, you get influenced by those people very heavily.
Yeah.
I had a vendor that worked with me that their budget to keep Chase happy was $500,000 a year.
I'm in the wrong business.
Me too. I didn't get any of that money. You know what I mean? So they're doing their things to influence. Fine, whatever. But the truth of the matter is, like, the stuff that we're doing at G2, it should be driven by the user, by the buyer.
Exactly.
And it should be something where we're all familiar with the process so that we can understand what we're going to do. Like, it's the same thing of, if I want to go find good pizza,
Yeah.
I don't go read an MQ on pizza.
Mhm.
I go to Yelp and I look it up and find out who's in my local area, who's got 5 stars, and what other people say about it. And I go there.
I've been doing that all weekend here in DC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good,
I
great
mean, yeah.
places here to eat
Seriously.
too.
Yeah. So let's kind of double click into the fundamental problem of the traditional analyst model. What are kind of the elements that keep people kind of jaded in the space?
Well, I think the fundamental problem is that it is, those are businesses at the core of it, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's people there that have stockholders and whatever, and they're going to do what they can to deliver. And that means they got to raise revenue and they got to
Right.
grow. And the way that you do that is sell.
Mhm.
And because you're selling, there's the opportunity for that influence to occur.
Mhm.
And when you look at, the data trends, if the same companies continue to get upper right in all these reports,
Mhm.
but they're not really doing anything different and they're not changing it up and it's not new and innovative, then why are they continuing to get upper right?
Mhm.
It has to be for some other reason, aka money.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at what's going on with crowdsourced information from users,
Yeah.
stuff fluctuates all the time.
Yeah.
It's way more variable because there's a whole lot of things that could influence that.
How do you find those fluctuations and any signals of change with G2? Tell me a little bit about how it works for those who don't have access to G2.
So here's the great thing. Everyone has access to G2.
Okay.
It is free. It doesn't cost you a penny. So you can go on G2 right now and go, this is the greatest piece of software in the history of the world. I love it. And here's all the reasons why. Or
As a user.
as
of
a
the
user,
software.
right? Yeah. As someone that actually has tried
Yeah.
it, right? Not some analyst sitting in an ivory tower that has never actually used the software
Yeah.
and watched a bunch of videos. So you can do that. And then you can take that information and you can also go back and go, you know what? I tried it. After 2 years, I didn't like it anymore. And here's the reasons why, and go forward, just like Amazon reviews and Yelp and everything else.
Mhm.
All of that data, to the tunes of millions of reviews,
Mhm.
goes into our back end. And that's where our analysts get into it and start looking for trends and information. And I can see stuff in there that honestly, when I was at legacy analyst firms, I would have killed to get a hold of.
Yeah.
Like which vendors people are switching from and to, what their
Uh-huh.
estimated discounts are, all kinds of crazy information.
And this is all within kind of bottom of funnel evaluation, like that's specific use case.
Yeah, this is
okay.
to get people from first hit, first contact, learning about the software to,
Okay.
I like to think that this is kind of driving them towards the bottom of the funnel, towards the close. Because even if I've had a POC and a demo and whatever else, sooner or later, somewhere along that way, I should go see what my fellow colleagues in my space said. And if everyone says this thing demos well, but it's a piece of trash, I don't want the piece of trash.
Yeah. And this isn't specific to security. You guys deal
This
with
is all
software.
Millions. I think there's 20 million plus reviews in there currently. Yeah.
How many analysts do you guys have over at G2?
There's about 11.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's people that are
Well,
carved
you're
up.
busy then.
Oh, very busy.
Yeah.
But the cool thing too is G2's been real smart about the using, I hate saying the word AI because it's not AI, but the large language modeling stuff,
Yeah.
so that we can work at scale.
Yeah.
I think they've done a good job of being a company that is emblematic of what you're supposed to do with these types of systems. So they have a system called Monty, where I can go as an analyst and go in there and go, how does X compare to Y based on Z? And it will go pull through all the research and results and
Yeah.
all the data and pull it back for me.
So you have the end users who are using the products, evaluating, giving reviews. There's peer reviews there that even other users can sift through,
Mm-hmm.
and there's the vendors that can come in and analyze that data as well. Is there an extra layer of analysis within the platform? How does it work?
Correct. So there is a deeper layer of just like anything else. I mean, there is a business there, but there
Right.
is a deeper layer of analysis they can get, which is called market intelligence. And the market intelligence is literally the same information that I have access to. And I encourage the vendors that are out there, if you're paying for a G2 subscription, you should be paying for MI because MI can help inform your go-to-market. It's a really good way to see underlying information, trends, and things that you can use comparatively.
Interesting. How do you think vendors should balance, MI data with kind of more qualitative and customer feedback that they're getting? What's kind of the sweet spot or balance that they should be focusing on?
At the end of the day, your customer is the real source of truth. So if you're getting feedback from them, then I would always, defer to that sort of information and insight. But you should also be able to take a step back, especially when you're thinking about trying to craft new narratives or new go-to-markets or pricing or strategic initiatives.
Yeah.
Get that MI data
Yeah.
and start putting that in play.
Yeah.
It's always interesting when someone says, Chase, would you do a SWOT for us? I'm glad to do a SWOT, but I could also give it to you in this automated platform.
Right. Okay, so I'm coming from the qualitative front, right? I do interviews. I love qualitative data. I think it's just the best thing since sliced bread, really. But do you think vendors are over-reliant on quant data and kind of social data over direct feedback?
I think that people should be more open to direct feedback. I think that qualitative honestly carries a whole lot of weight.
Yeah.
I think qualitative carries a whole lot of weight. I think quantitative carries a lot of insight.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how people should look at it.
So I do want to go back to that. Like, how do we use both forms of data? Like, what's the best way?
You need people that understand how to make data operational.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to align the outcome of the data towards an endeavor, whatever that strategy is.
That's key. When we work with our customers, we first and foremost figure out, where are you in your growth journey? What is the objective? What are the unknown unknowns that we need to extract? And then we formulate the studies to focus on that. What's going to bring them the highest, impact immediately? And then we kind of we prioritize there. So that's something that we kind of overlook because, we have our assumptions and we have hypotheses, but we also have to take a look at the business as a whole, like where we are. Taking a look back at your time in Forrester and now at G2, what do you think are some of the mistakes that, vendors are making when it comes to, data, social data, and in general kind of assumptions about buyers and the like?
I mean, I think that what would be interesting is if you took 10 vendors and said, show me the budget that you spend with the legacy analyst firms and then show me what you spend with a company like G2, how big the difference would be. The majority of the money would be going to legacy analyst firms for influence and operations, whatever else. And this stuff over here would be probably barely above what they spend for their domain and their internet presence. But this is the data from the people buying your software.
Right.
This is people doing research and telling you what that stuff says.
I think it's funny. The more I talk to CMOs, the more that they're fed up with the traditional model.
Everybody is until
they
won't
renewing.
say it out loud, though.
No, but they're not. Yeah, they won't say it out loud. They're not renewing, which not talking out loud is another thing that I do want to ask you about. But they're not renewing.
I've seen people starting to move away, which is interesting.
Yeah, it is an interesting trend. I think like 7 out of the 10 conversations that I have are like, nope, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
We want new ways to engage, new more, cost-effective ways because they just can't prove any ROI to the investment.
Unless you're a major enterprise and you're dealing with that, then, and what's funny too is those people that will say that and then they pop smoke, then they sit there going, well, what do we do? You're like, there's a better way, but they're hesitant on the better way.
Yeah. Well, why do you think more marketers aren't speaking up? They're kind of quiet about it and hush-hush about, new investments and going against the status quo and the big players and so on and so forth.
Well, one, it's comfort, and the other piece is it's a very defined space.
Yeah.
If I do this and put enough of this in there and I win the influence game and whatever else, then I will be where I should be. And if things don't go right, I can always pitch a fit and work my way to get that. Whereas if you're dealing with data from crowdsource and people that are using stuff, you can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a roll of the dice, but it's a roll of the dice that is way more honest and
Yeah.
accurate.
Yeah. I mean, shouldn't you be looking at the actual buyer signals and not,
God forbid.
you know,
Like,
no,
why would you do that?
I think it's just mind blowing that we pay so much money when it's not influenced by the actual people that are using the products. I mean, in the conversations I have with practitioners, they kind of smirk sarcastically and say, "Oh yeah, we look at, those reports as an indication of where we should be spending our money." Do you see that in terms of the buyer side, or is that an indication of like what we should be evaluating?
The majority of the time, the process that I see, and this is even when I was working for a legacy analyst firm, is you've got leadership way at the top, right? CEOs, CIOs, board members that aren't in the space, that is what they look at because that's what they're used to getting from Wall Street and wherever.
Yeah.
Where it's an analyst report that says this is the trend and whatever. And there's value in that. But then when they go down to the people that are going to use the tool, the software, the application, those folks are like, I don't give a damn what that says.
Yeah.
I want to know what it does. And what is, 5 guys down the road say that they think about it. Let's go to the bar and I'll ask them about it.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't ring true, it's DOA.
What's kind of the most surprising insight you've seen within G2? Like, oh, I didn't expect that,
Pricing is what blows my mind.
Okay.
So because of all the information is back there on the crowdsource side of it, on the MI data, what blows my mind every time I look is the pricing stuff. And if you get a bunch of vendors that are trying to sell their software, they're always trying to figure out where's that sweet spot about what somebody's willing to pay, the discounts they expect, et cetera, how long a contract should be. In a click, I can give them all of that for their entire space inside of G2, and you don't have to do the Kentucky windage anymore.
If I could click on you as a button right now, G2 MI, give me a few insights for the audience to kind of like take home.
On average, your contract engagements, your lengths are way too long for people. They don't want 3-year contracts, and that usually derails some of your go-to-market side of it because people are like 3 years, that's a long time. How much software innovation happens in 3 years? On average, you should be given about a 15 to 17% discount. I see some people giving 65, 40, 70, like it's throwing darts at a wall.
Yeah.
On average, all software across the industry, you should expect to give at least a 15, 17% discount. And then lastly, you probably are trying to sell to the wrong person, which has been one that stands out. Most people, especially in tech, we always go after C-level, and we're always going CIO, CISO, whatever.
Yes.
You need to be going to the people that run the actual operational side of it.
2 levels underneath.
Yep.
That's one of the bigger insights coming out of Cyber Marketing Con is you want the lieutenants.
Yeah.
You don't even want to influence the
CISO's got other stuff to do.
Yeah.
They trust their people.
Ooh, this is good stuff. Let's click on it again. What's the most overlooked or underutilized source of data that could transform how companies go to market?
Ooh, that is a really good question. I think the most overlooked thing data-wise really is how effective is it where you meet the buyer in that buyer journey? Most of us, we focus really, really heavily on fishing with dynamite, shotgun, get them every chance we possibly can or whatever. You're spending so much time and so much resources, so much effort on hoping that you get some, shot in the dark to work. Whereas what's funny is when you look at the data on the back end, especially from reviews, we have a linguistic system that I can actually pull information from people's literal responses. When you go at people with really intelligent approaches and really good information, and you approach them as human beings that might buy your software, your return is like 7 or 8 or 9, 10 times better than it would be of fishing with dynamite and throwing money at events and whatever else. And that's crazy that people still argue that.
Well, what are they saying? What's kind of...
Well, our goal is to get lots of leads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you got 4,000 leads. So what? Wouldn't it be better to have spent your time with 6 people and 3 of them are actually interested in buying?
Yeah.
Because you and I do the podcasting, whatever else. Well, how many people can come on your live stream? I don't know.
Yeah.
But you might get one that's legit. I can, I'll get you 25, 30 people who just whatever, but I can't guarantee they're actually going to do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you find buyers where they are?
Data, qualitative and quantitative. And you follow along with those. We talked about having a hypothesis and working your way backwards from that. And I will say the legacy analyst stuff, you've got all these really good reports from folks that talk about where you should meet the buyers. Nobody actually does what they're paying for in those reports. I mean, it is comical. Like I laugh out loud because I'll read stuff from Gartner and Forrester and 451 and GigaOM about this is where the buyer is. And everybody's, oh, that's amazing. That's a great report. I think that's the
Let's
best
go
thing.
do this.
And let's go do the other thing. Like, what?
Yeah.
You paid 50 G's for that, and you're going to do the opposite of what you just were told to do?
Yeah.
Does that make any sense whatsoever?
Where do you think buyers are?
They're digital. They're virtual. It's on their schedule. It's on their time. It's on their dollar. They don't have time to sit around and mess around with, deep reading. It's short form content. It's hit and move on. They like to get information from trusted sources.
What do you think is the most overrated tactic in security with regards to meeting buyers where they are?
Events.
Yeah.
Big time giant events.
The giant ones.
Yeah. That cost $250,000. I think RSA should shut its doors.
Really?
I think Black Hat should be recalibrated.
I'm not going to RSA this year, by the way.
I have to go every year.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think it's crazy that it's gotten as big as it is.
Yeah.
And it's not providing a whole lot of value.
I mean, the outer skirts of it, like the bars.
The stuff around RSA.
It's good. But even so, it's so hard to have an engaging conversation there because it's just
it's constant.
out.
Yeah.
You can't fit,
Like ThreatLocker's done a good job with their ZT World thing to do, Zero Trust World. And they have it in Orlando, and it's ThreatLocker folks, and they have some vendors there that sponsor. But if you're not doing a Zero Trust thing, you're not included. So if I go there as a prospect, I know I'm going to hear from vendors that are engaged in this thing at this time in this space. It's way more specialized, I guess, rather than security.
How do you think go-to-market professionals should evangelize, I don't know if that's the right word, to be honest, or educate stakeholders on moving from the legacy model of analysts to a more modern version or modern model that's keeping up with how buyers behave and how they want to be approached and how they evaluate solutions and analyze the marketplace?
Don't look at this in the this is probably one of the few times you'll ever hear me say this, but don't look at this in the realm of big time strategic initiatives for entire market dynamics or whatever else. Think about you as a buyer today in this world. How do you do things? And what are your expectations? And where do you get pissed when things go sideways?
Yeah.
Translate that into your go-to-market, and you'll start to see that things get better. Yes, there are some arguments for enterprise engagements, and there's always going to be the 10-ton elephants that you've got to work around their processes. But do you also go for the one deal that might work over the course of 2 years? Or do I go for 200 deals that'll close in 9 months? Like, why? It's the approach that you take should meet the buyer where we are today, and we all live it every day. I don't know why we abstract ourselves out of it.
Okay, that's a good answer. It really is, but I still get pushback from the CEO and the founder. What do I do next?
I think the question is to start looking at your metrics and looking at your data and your trends and say,
and like showing it physically,
like this is it, and don't bait them in with kind of greasing the skids of what the conversation is. Be like, look, here's this data and trends chart. And I think G2's got a really good information for this because I use it all the time.
Right.
Here's this information. What does that indicate to you? Oh, well, this is the better way to do it. Okay. Here's this information. Yeah. And it shows it's going the opposite direction. What does that indicate? Well, that's the wrong way to do it. This is what we're doing. Right? Get that knee-jerk response, pull the rug out from under them with the data that you have to validate your position.
Do you think that the traditional model will stay around forever? Is it going to fade out? What's kind of your
I think it's becoming
prediction?
More specialized, and I think that there's going to continue to be value for the mega companies of the world to stay in that legacy approach. And those enterprises that are that big, they can afford both sides of the coin, right? The legacy plus the new innovative ways. So I think that that's where that's going to trend to go. I think the more companies, as this whole technology space continues to evolve and we democratize it more and everybody can do more on their own, especially with the GPTs and those things now, you're going to see more people trending towards trusted sources of response from crowdsourced information.
Have you seen vendors misuse those trusted sources of data?
Data is data, right? Anyone can manipulate anything for a narrative. And have I seen them do that? Not personally, but I've definitely seen some horror stories of how folks have modified and maneuvered and kind of you picked and pulled things to really validate their stuff.
Yeah.
But the good thing is the truth is out there, and if somebody's really interested, they can search and figure it out for themselves.
I'm really curious. I want to know, and I don't know how much you can divulge here, but how does G2 tie in large language models and kind of AI into the analysis part of things? How are you using that to speed up your analysis and output of recommendations or action items?
So G2's got a whole group of folks that all they do is think around LLMs and then, AI sort of applied stuff within the data structures. There's a system called Monty that's, number one, it's open to anybody that goes to use it. You can go right now, G2, and go look at Monty and ask Monty a question, and he'll go pull the information. But for those of us on the analyst side, there's no way I could possibly sift through 20 million reviews,
Right.
especially all the linguistics and everything else.
Right.
So they've got systems that are in there that I can talk to,
That's cool.
and it'll bring me back that information.
We're all figuring out our budgets, how to spend smarter, how to the investments we're double downing on. I really think that we should be double downing on our knowledge of how to analyze data, how to apply the data, because we always talk about like data just sitting on the shelf collecting dust. What's kind of your recommendation? And we talked about this a little bit prior, but what's your recommendation for those who are curious to become better analysts themselves, better researchers themselves? Like, what are the steps, kind of tactical, practical steps they should take to just massage that muscle?
So here's something I learned in the intel community in the military. Take 3 different responses about the same topic that are just totally off of each other.
Yeah.
Now figure out from your research how to correlate and make sure that all those actually are valid or truthful or whatever else, and then understand how those became the talking points that they are. If you can do that and see it from both sides, then you really understand that topic, and you're able to use the data for the purposes of the analysis on either side of that equation. If you can't do that, you don't understand the topic in totality, and your data could potentially be leading you towards a narrative that you're not necessarily prepared for.
At what point is this the data statistically significant with regards to quant data?
So that one can be weird just because every quantitative side can be different based on the number of submissions you have.
Right.
You have to be willing to, figure out what your threshold is for that. Sometimes it can be 10,000, sometimes it could be 10. It just really is going to be, dependent on the hypotheses and the way that you're working your way forward. I personally am a bigger fan of smaller response sets. I think there's more veracity in that information, because when you get really, really big, the odds of you starting to skew the information
or see like diminishing returns.
Right. Like,
well, what's small? Like if I were to do a survey study of, X CISOs, what would be, in your opinion, a good sample size for a survey around, competitive intel or something like that?
For me, I think 50 is plenty.
50, yeah, that's kind of the sweet spot I feel like for me that I've seen.
I need 4,000 responses. What?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Are there 4,000 responses? Like sometimes it's so.
I'll go get you 4,000.
Yeah.
But the odds of me introducing bias and BS and whatever else is just going to get bigger the farther out you get.
Yeah. What's one thing that in the G2 side, in terms of the platform and its capabilities, and also just in general, its use of social data and peer reviews, that excites you most?
I think the thing that excites me the most about it is the fact that data is ground truth information.
Yeah.
It is coming from people that are using and doing the work and that really do understand it. And the many different, the many different sort of sides of that data, because it's not just, hey, was this good software?
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of things that follow onto that.
Parameters and variables that you guys are measuring.
And you get really good information.
Are you able to segment by role, that granular? Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, there's a bunch of information that's there to help that segment by role, by region, by company size, like all that stuff.
Oh, that's amazing. Because the challenge that I've had as a marketer is, sometimes you get all this data, but then you're wondering, is it really the people I care about? Like how, you see the breakdown, but it's still super broad.
Yeah.
So to be able to really segment and understand granularly the roles there, so that you're getting at the real truth there is critical. It's why we also de-anonymize our expert directory, because if you're doing qualitative interviews and it's anonymized, are they really the person we care about?
Mhm.
Is that data like true to the role that we sell to the ICP? So that's really cool. What do you think you guys could improve into 2025, especially?
The biggest thing I think that we need to improve and that I'm trying to work on is actually some of those kind of legacy analyst interactions and reports.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, which sounds very confusing, right? Like here you
Yeah.
are talking about the problem with the old and we want to do the same thing. I don't want to do the same thing. I want to do the old model because there was value to it with a better method. And we, the crowdsource, the G2s, those folks should be out there as analysts at events and where we can meet people and really talk about what's going on the back end of that stuff. So hopefully we're going to do more engagement, more publications, more vendor interactions, and those types of things, because we have enough information on the back end to really validate what we're saying.
Yeah. What are some kind of cool use cases? Like, let's say I have, all this cool data from G2. How can we spin that up into different kinds of tactics? What are some cool things you've seen?
Well, you've got all that cool stuff from G2, which is your general market information and, trends and whatever. Then you've also got your CRM stuff and you've got your Marketo or your marketing platform. What I would do is take all that information and put it together and start really seeing where it looks like there's a Venn diagram of awesome.
Yeah.
And start vectoring my resources towards meeting them in the middle there.
Yeah, that's cool.
That way you're not operating on any kind of one data source as your point of truth. And you will see that some of this stuff is slightly tangential to others.
Yeah.
But if I see 50 tangents that all go in the same way, I need to address that problem.
There you go. All right, we're heading towards the fun part, the shit list. We're doing it again.
Double shit.
Double shit. We're on it. What's the worst thing you've seen a vendor do? And let's keep it in the context of like analysts or like AR or even data.
So without getting myself in trouble or calling anything. So I did let's call it a large, very important evaluative report.
Yeah.
And a vendor was unhappy about their way things worked out, right? Their global CTO took it upon himself on the call to address this issue and see things where things were going with about, 25 or 30 people on the call. And I'm quoting here. So he said, he called me, the analyst, and even though I'd done 6 months worth of research and evals for this, he called me a technically biased fucking idiot. And it was like, well, good. Glad you think that, but you think that's going to help your score? And of course you could hear everyone else on the call, take their, one of those breaths, and it was like, thank you very much. I've had a good day. Click. But I mean, that's, going scorched earth is not a good way to get things done.
Yeah. Oh, so the alternative folks don't do that. I just got called lame this week. You saw that one.
I saw it. That was funny. Yeah. I was like, all right, I'm lame. Cool.
Austin thinks I'm lame. Okay, so let's flip it on its head. What's kind of a cool thing you've seen a vendor do in this realm?
I think the ones that have done something interesting is I've had vendors where they've been working on, trying to get a position.
Yeah.
And instead of trying to influence the analysts, they've actually said that they're going to push things out to the market, sort of open the kimono a bit. Yep. Which has been interesting to see how that plays out.
Amazing.
And get more information, more feedback in those.
I feel like early stage. That's a really great tactic for early stage startups.
I've only ever seen it with one enterprise.
Yeah.
And when they did it, it was very kind of refreshing to be like, okay, somebody that actually is, living by what they preach.
Yeah.
Because they'll put it all over their website and whatever, how they do things. But when the rubber meets the road is the real story.
Yeah, 100%. All right, we'll head towards the end of the session. Anything you want to impart on our audience today? Yeah,
I think if you're hesitant to move towards like doing stuff with the G2, think about how much money you're putting into the legacy AR program. And I'm not saying carve all that off, but I'm saying take a portion of it and put it into an actual focus thing within the programmatic things within the G2 side of it.
Yep.
And see what types of return on investment you get from it, because you'll be shocked. So I think that people need to understand that. And don't think about G2 as, Yelp for software.
Yeah.
It's Yelp for software, but it's also Yelp for software with millions of data points on the back end and analysts that can help you understand that information.
Right. And then that's on the MI level, like the paid subscription.
That's for the vendor side.
So so if you want the data, which you can analyze for free, you can take a look at the
you can do it right now
G2
today.
right now. But then if you want the even deeper analysis, you go into MI. Yeah, that's really cool. I like that model.
And there's no requirement to say, oh, I have to have an analyst do this for me. The MI data is there and you can do it on your own. But
Sure.
if you want someone that's been doing this for, decades and can provide you a different look, then by all means engage an analyst.
Amazing. I love it. Oh, I'm going to go in and I'm going to noodle around. That's for sure.
Only other thing I will say too is if you haven't gone to G2 and owned your profile and you have a company, you better do it because people will take it and squat on it just like they squat domains. And we will at G2 remove them, but it's a process.
Yeah.
So if you've got software or technology and you're selling it, go own your profile on G2. Doesn't cost you a nickel, but trust me, do it.
Amazing. Well, this has been an awesome session, really insightful for me because we haven't noodled on the quant side of things and taking a look at market data and peer review data when it comes to buyer trends and all that kind of stuff. I'm definitely going to go experiment and explore G2 in more detail. And if you haven't already, sign up. I mean, if it's free, cool.
Yeah, I mean, the price is $0.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. No brainer there. As always, you're always invited back to the show. I have a feeling we're going to do some good stuff together this year. I mean, we have some stuff to talk about offline, but super cool to do this in person, live in DC.
I'm glad we coordinated outfits too.
I know we coordinated. Listen, this is the go-to. It always makes you look skinny.
Yeah, exactly.
No stains, or there are stains, but you can't see it.
Exactly.
So
yeah, it was either this or plaid. So
I mean, and you can't see the Krispy Kreme that Chase bought this morning, which is awesome. So thank you for that, by the way. This has been another episode of Audience First. Thanks for joining us today. We are out.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Audience First. If you like what you've heard, feel free to follow or subscribe to Audience First on Apple, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast streamers.